Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
What's going on, guys? It's Filthy and I'm back with another video. So today we're going to take a look at the brand new wizard set, which is the Typhons Veil. Looks pretty cool. So this is the transmog. Looks a little bit like a witch doctor set. It's got like kind of green spiders, I guess. So all the green matches really nice, but yeah, looks a little bit like a witch doctor. Plays a little bit like a witch doctor as well. So if you've ever done Helltooth Garg, it's a little bit like that. It's mixed heavily with kind of Tal Meteor, so as in if you're used to Tal Meteor or Bazooka Wizard, then imagine that mixed with Helltooth a little bit, and that's kind of the set playstyle. Now it's really strong. We're going to do a 99 with I think just about 600 Paragon, 650, something like that. The gems aren't leveled, the gear's not augmented. Some of the pieces are ancient because it's easy to get them on PTR, but it's if you're looking to do GR100 next season, this is a very easy, straightforward, definite gateway build. Now we're going to make use of the season theme, which is nice, and I totally understand that Legacy Dreams version of this is probably going to be stronger, but we'll kind of get into that once we've shown you the build. So looking at the set, this revolves all around the Hydra. The two-piece will double the duration of Hydras and increase the number of heads on multi-headed Hydras by 2. So this means that a normal Hydra would have 3 heads. We get that up to 5, and they do last absolutely ages, so no problem with them going away. You just recast them whenever you want. 4-piece is a really interesting mechanic. In practicality, when I show you the rift, it doesn't work out quite, I guess, as intended. Damage taken is reduced by 8% for each active Hydra head, and whenever we take damage, a head dies. Now we get 10 heads, so that's 80% mitigation. That's absolutely huge, and this build is really tanky until you get to the point where it is literally made of glass, because as you can probably see around the character, I've got my shield on, so I've got galvanizing ward and I'm trying to stack shields. Unfortunately, some things penetrate the shield, so kind of like how the squirts buff problem we had a couple of seasons ago, it's like that. So my squirts won't drop off, so I'm not actually taking damage. It pops up with absorbed on the shield, but the Hydra heads drop, and they can drop really quickly. So occasionally it'll be at like 9 or 10 stacks, and that's fine, and all of a sudden, click your fingers, it's 0 stacks, and you've got no damage mitigation, and you get squished. So I'm assuming that's a bug, because really the shield should be blocking damage, because otherwise it's almost like you might as well not have the mitigation, because when you get higher in the GRs, as soon as you take that first hit, it then drops it, and it basically, if you get hit more than a couple of times, then the mitigation just disappears. It's an interesting mechanic, so maybe this is how it's supposed to be, but I would have thought the shield would have absorbed it, but you know, there we are. Anyway, on the 6-piece, Hydras deal 1000% damage for each Hydra head, so 10 heads, 10,000% damage. Obviously Legacy Dreams is nearly at 10,000, and it's going to be a little less fiddly with the items, so that's probably why that works better, but still a pretty decent multiplier. Now the Serpent Spark has been reworked. We get an extra Hydra, so that's how we get 10 heads, because we can have 2 out at a time. We get a pretty decent multiplier on here, up to 600%. And the Magistrate Helm Wizard Hat thing has also been buffed, so we now get them casting Frost Nova, so any Hydra will cast Frost Nova. It doesn't have to be the cold one, albeit we are going to take cold. And they again get a huge multiplier up to 600%, so that's all lovely jubbly. Now I said this plays like Tal Meteor, and the reason is because we're going to take the Meteor kind of supporting items, so the Etched Sigil and the Death Wish in the cube basically make this a channeling build. So the idea is that you channel and it will automatically cast your Arcane Spender. Now it's a bit weird because unlike Meteor, where the meteors just keep dropping down from the sky, if I hold down channeling, it doesn't actually make any more Hydras, so it will wait for this Hydra to go and then it'll make another one, and it won't make 2, so it won't actually use the Serpent Spark, so you've got to actually manually cast these. In fact, actually, telling a lie, it is making 2, isn't it? Because there you go, they've both disappeared. So you do get 2, but it just won't recast them, so they'll stay there. So if you cast them here, like this, and then you want to go up here, well, they'll just stay. And if I rechannel over here, I'm not going to get any new Hydras, so I have to manually pop them down. So that's just a kind of like little bit to bear in mind. But what the Etched Sigil will do is it will give us a damage increase, so whilst we are channeling we get this up to 150% damage increase, and then again Death Wish, up to 325%. So both those things, another 2 multipliers to stack on top of the set, the Serpent Sparker and the helm, obviously pretty good. Now in the cube, because of this season, the Forbidden Archives, we can select whatever we want. I've gone for the Echoing Fury just to kind of use the season theme a little bit. This will give us up to 75% attack speed and 25% move speed, so it makes playing the build a little quicker and the Hydra's attack a lot quicker, which is good. If you're playing off season, you could go for Tasker and Theo here. You could go for a Mantle of Channeling, so that would be fine. And then yeah, pretty much whatever it is that you want to stick in here is fine. Now we've also gone for Convention of Elements, so this will buff up the damage quite a bit when we get around to the cold cycle. A Squirts is going to give us double damage, because again, we're not going to be taking damage because of the 80% mitigation and the shield. We actually don't take too much damage. As I say, we either just get squished or we don't, so when we're not getting squished, we've got double damage. Again, really handy modifier. We're obviously going to take the Rogue in the cube to make up the bonuses on the set to 6 pieces. So we've also gone for the Hergabrash's Binding Belt, so arcane power of Arcane Torrent is reduced. That's really handy, helps keep up resource. Ashnigar's Blood Braces to hopefully double the duration of our shields. Mine's crappily rolled, but I just can't be bothered getting another one. And then last item is the Halo of Karini Ring, so provided we are using Storm Armor, we get a pretty big damage reduction whenever we electrocute something. This will help try and mitigate the getting squished element of it, so you might get a little bit of warning before you get pummeled into the ground. That will allow you to maybe teleport away and get to safety. Obviously it would be nice if they did fix the kind of shield issue. That would make the build play an awful lot better, but you can use your Frost Hydras as a meat shield pretty effectively, but we'll talk about that. Legendary gem wise, Bane of the Trapped will give us extra damage. We will always be benefiting from this because the Frost Nova that comes out of the Hydras will activate the CC. I'm going to take Enforcer, extra pet damage, that seems like a no-brainer, and at the moment I've got Bane of the Powerful in, but you could swap this out for either Gogok, Pain Enhancer, Stricken, maybe even the Gizzard Gem, maybe try and get that shield working a little bit better. So yeah, plenty of options. It's still early days, so I can't say definitively this is the best way to run the build, but you know, we'll keep an eye on it, we'll see where we go. So in terms of skills, we've got Frost Hydra. This is how the build kind of functions, so just gone for this because it seems to have a pretty good area of effect. It worked quite well with lightning. You can't go for the fire one on here because this doesn't have multi-heads, it's just one Hydra, but you could try and play around with the other ones, but I just found this one so far to be the best. Arcane Torrent Static Discharge, this allows us to activate all of our channeling bonuses, and you know, again, if you're struggling for arcane power, you could try and swap it out for Ray of Frost, but Arcane Torrent is what I'm using at the moment. Then Storm Armor Scramble, so this is providing us the damage reduction, and then the Scramble will give us a little bit of extra move speed, again making the build a little quicker. Defensively, we've gone for Slow Time, Stretch Time. This is totally open, this skill. I've just picked it because it's kind of handy to be able to block projectiles that are incoming, so you can just plop this down and you can then dodge around projectiles, but almost any kind of defensive skill would be good here. You could take Diamond Skin, for instance, with Crystal Shell. That could be another option. And as we are rocking cold, you could also take Black Hole Absolute Zero just to get some extra cold damage. So, you know, again, it's another option. If you're doing hardcore, you could also take Explosive Blast and run a in the cube. You could run the Orb of Infinite Depth. So that would be an option for the season. But at the moment, as I say, Slow Time just allows me to move around projectiles pretty easy. Teleport, Safe Passage, a bit more damage reduction. Teleport's always handy. And then Magic Weapon Deflection, again with a view to increasing damage and building up our shield. So that's kind of the setup I've got. Pretty flexible. You can swap pretty much any of these bits and bobs around. You need the Storm Armor for toughness. You need the Hydra obviously for the damage, and then the rest of it, you know, if you want to change it, by all means you can do. Passives wise, Galvanizing Ward, trying to get these shields up, so obviously we get that Absorb Shield for 60% of our life. Unstable Anomaly, because when we do drop the damage reduction we get squished, and Cheat Death is handy. Power Hungry, so enemies further than 30 yards away will get extra damage, so I think maybe the ideal playstyle would be to be at range. You kind of cast your Hydras at the edge of the screen and cower in the corner basically. So again, Zystone of Vengeance might be good to pair with this, and then Dominance again, just trying to buff up the shields. But again, passives wise, you know, fairly flexible. You can kind of swap it out, and that's what I like about the build. It does lean itself to lots of different things. There's no kind of definitive things that are screaming out to me that are definitely going to be best. Gems in the gear, just straight up topazes just for damage. As you can see, I haven't even bothered to roll these pants, so these are shocking, aren't they? Absolutely shocking. Never mind. Okay, so let's jump in and we'll try and do 99, and I'll try and not get squished, but it should be fairly doable, and then we'll see how we go. So first thing, you want to cast a couple of Hydras, activate your buffs, and then you can channel, and they do quite a lot of damage without channeling at this level, but obviously the further up you go in terms of difficulty, the more you're going to be relying on the Etch Sigil and on the Death Wish. Now playstyle wise, I've done quite a bit of Garg, so this is kind of familiar to me. The kind of like you drop your pets effectively on something, and then you try and get them to melt it for you whilst you hide behind. But the great thing about the Frost Nova is that it does actually block incoming traffic. So like this map, you're never going to die here, because you just pop your Hydras down and you block off the routes for the enemies to come through, and it's realistic, it's only a Juggernaut, they're not going to freeze. So another bracer option potentially would be the Parthen Defenders, because obviously the freeze would be giving you damage reduction, but I'd guess the Blood Bracers are probably going to be the way to go. But you can see how quick, I mean, like, given we've got very little Paragon and awful gems and we're on 99, the elites are absolutely melting. So it does kind of show just how hard this build hits. And in terms of like where the ceiling for it is, it feels probably about as strong, if not maybe a little bit stronger than the Monk, the Tempest Rush from last season, and the Shotgun Sader. So it does feel pretty powerful, to be honest. And I'm really looking forward to trying the Legacy of Dreams version, because that I think will be, you know, looking at the boards, it looks like it's a good 10 GRs higher, maybe even 15 at this point than this particular build. But obviously people have kind of given up on this. Anyone who's pushing the boards for the season is pretty much gone straight onto Legacy of Dreams. But overall, like, the philosophy behind the set I really like. I like the fact that it's Hydras and pets. You know, Witch Doctor, I do have a very soft spot for Witch Doctor, and obviously Necro, play a lot of Necro. So pet builds, summoner builds, it is pretty good. And I think for T16 there's going to be some pretty fun and fast builds that we'll be able to make, because you can strip all the channeling stuff you don't need. So even if we just don't channel and we just put these Hydras down, you know, they still do a fairly amount of damage, and that's on GR99. So you know, there's certainly scope to drop it to 75, and you won't even need the channeling gear, to be honest. Now, one thing I was going to talk about is looking at the shield. I don't think we've actually dropped the damage reduction part of it at the moment, but I think it's certain mob types and certain things on the floor. So see if we can get it to drop a little bit. Right, so it's 9 now, but I've still got my shield. So it's registered damage. So it's taken one of the Hydra heads off. So they're popped up again, absorbed some, down to 8. I mean, it's easy to cast 2 Hydras and get back up to 10, but it doesn't really make much sense. Like, the shield should be stopping that. The game shouldn't register that as damage, I wouldn't have thought. Again, maybe it's a bug. I had also heard there's supposed to be an internal cooldown on the Hydras, which they're just, I mean, if there is, it's like a millisecond. So I'll just die on purpose here. So we've got 10 stacks, and then, so if you see how quickly that's dropped there, you know, any kind of internal cooldown is absolutely tiny. So if that is the intention, if they do want shields not to block the damage, then I think that kind of internal timer needs to go up a little bit, because it's pretty short. But then again, you know, I can kind of see the argument that, look, the set's really powerful, and if you've got to put up with dodging and weaving and ducking for it, then fine. I don't see there's a problem. And as I say, particularly in this season, you can offset it by, if we took slow time out and put in explosive blast with the orb of infinite depth, that'd be another 80% layer of damage mitigation, which would obviously be huge. And the Hydra kind of damage mitigation would be just a bonus, and provided you keep spamming your Hydras out, even if it does drop, you back up to 10. So it's it definitely feels a bit different, and I think that's one of the things that I do like about it. It does feel like I'm playing something kind of new. Like, I think the last time I played Hydra was probably season 9 or 10, whenever the Archon lightning thing was, and I think off season this is doing pretty well as well. So it might get nerfed, it might not go to live in this state. They might decide it's too powerful, but it's almost like we've got double multipliers, because I kind of feel like the set's been designed at like this 10,000% power level, and they've mixed the wand and the hat, and then almost like kind of forgotten. So again, there the damage reductions just instantly dropped off. So again, it's like projectiles are difficult, but yeah, as I say, when you mix the extra multipliers in from the channeling bonuses, it packs a punch, and the Rift Guardian should just melt. But yeah, slow time I do think is pretty useful for it. We obviously get a bit of attack speed from it as well. But this is really, I'm pretty casual with this game. I'm not a particularly good player, and busting out this 100 is not particularly difficult. Really need a cough button. But I'll be interested to hear what you guys think. Is this a set that you like? Is it, have you tried it? Do you like the look of it? Is it kind of what you were hoping for? But it's we've got so much to test on PTR. We've got the Legacy Dreams version of this. I'm going to try and test Veers, maybe see if there's something we can do with the cube for that, because that's obviously the starting set for the Wizard. Necro I'm desperate to get my hands on. I've obviously got new sets for the Barb and also for Witch Doctor, albeit the Barb clears with the new set didn't look great, so I think that looks like it needs a bit of love, but we'll have to sort of see when we get there. But yeah, it's all, as I say, all pretty easy, all pretty straightforward, and the Hydras do a pretty good job, particularly once you've got your Echoing Fury at 5 stacks of just melting lots of things. They do attack fairly quickly. The only thing sometimes is if you charge in too much and you're just a bit careless about where you're going, it's quite easy to get overwhelmed, because they can't really attack, like they can't wipe the entire screen, for instance. So you kind of you can't, it's not like Whirlwind or something where you can just mindlessly go, and you do have to be a little careful of your positioning, but still not too bad, not too hard. But maybe get the Rift Guardian after this. But yeah, provided you keep dumping your Hydra's damage reductions, not too bad. I've seen a few people complaining on the forums saying they don't really like it, but I don't know, I'm quite gay. I think this is pretty good. I'm going to die at the end of the video. No. Nice one. So there we go, that's GR99. Yeah, I like the set a lot. Say, it looks cool, plays pretty well. Might get changed, so we'll just have to see. That's it, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the rest of the PTR. I'll be back with some more videos just as soon as I can. Take it easy. Peace.